Village. And I've been with Stamford 9 years now. And I think the thing, just carrying on from what Mark said, the thing that I really love about our division is that care and dedication of our teachers who do serve our youngest learners. So for those of you who have children aged from only 2 months of age right up to what we call KG2, which is the 6, 7-year-olds, we have a breakout room shortly for the Early Learning Village. And I'll be joined by Emma, our Deputy Principal, and Antonella, our Suzuki music teacher. And we'd really love to share with you a little bit more about the Early Learning Village.
Hello, everyone. Welcome. My name is Claire Johnstone. I'm the very proud principal of the elementary school, and I have been with Stamford for 8 years. And what I love about our school, elementary especially, is our sense of fun and engagement that we have with our kids. So yes, we learn, but it's not arduous. It's fun. It's based on some really sound research and some really strong standards. And I'd love to share more with you in the breakout room on elementary. Over to you, Liz.
Thanks, Claire. Good morning, everybody. My name's Liz Durkin. I'm the middle school principal. I've been here for 3 years. Both of my children graduated from the high school, actually, and followed very different pathways. One highly academic IB diploma and another one a mix of AP and IB. And they had very different pathways and very successful academic careers at Stamford and beyond. So that really worked out well for us. In terms of the middle school, we have a real culture of care. It's all about making sure children feel safe, happy, included, that sense of belonging. And then once we have that in place, we really get going with the learning. There's lots of fun things happening right now as we speak. As Dr. Wenzel said, there's an exhibition down in the arena where children are sharing with other students and their parents their learning through the last month or two as they connected their learning in INS, which is like humanities, with some other subjects and really took it to a deeper level. So that's really exciting that's happening today. And next week, for example, now that COVID's opening up, we're actually going on outdoor ed day trips next week. So there's always a lot happening. We try to make it a vibrant place, lots of energy, and also caring for those kids and really pushing their learning, of course. That's the main reason we're here. And we do like to make sure that every child is appropriately supported, as Dr. Wenzel was talking about, and also challenged where needed as well, making sure we really push every kid beyond what they thought they were capable of. I'm going to pass to the PCS principal, Mr. Womack, before we go on to high school. Thank you.
Thanks, Liz. Hello and welcome. My name is Av Womack, and I'm the principal of the preparatory course for secondary, or as we call it affectionately, PCS. And this is my 4th year. In PCS, we offer 3 programs, namely our face-to-face program, which is aimed to support students around language acquisition here on Woodley campus. We also have an e-learning program, which mirrors our face-to-face program. And we also have a foundational academic English program as well. One thing that I love about Stamford is our collective international mindedness and cultural exchanges. Many of our teachers and students speak many languages. We get to learn from each other, and it's a very fantastic environment to be a part of. I look forward to having the opportunity to explain a little bit more about our programs and upcoming breakout sessions. And again, I would like to welcome you to our session. Over to my main man, Aki.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Aki Fernandez, the high school principal, also a very happy and fulfilled principal. We've just about finished this week of exams, which we affectionately call Celebration of Learning. Last Saturday, we graduated 146 students, a very ceremonious occasion with lots of positive messages. What, as Av said, and I think most people have said, one of the things I really love about Stamford is the fact that I am a third culture adult, and we absolutely love languages, and between Av and myself, I think we speak 13 different languages. It's wonderful to walk in the hallways and hear all those different culture and ethnic groups and languages taking place. The inclusion bit is absolutely phenomenal. So I'm looking forward to speaking to you a little later in our breakout room.
Great, thank you so much, principals. So we are going to head to breakout rooms, and you'll be able to have some time to really learn more deeply about the program, and then and ask some questions. Principals will have about 35 minutes in the breakout rooms. So we'll come back at about 10:50, and then we'll sort of wrap things up with the teaching and learning team before our admissions team answers any further questions you might have. So to get to the breakout rooms, you'll see a link on the bottom of your screen, which you'll be able to click on. Here you are. Here's the slide to show you. And so you can click into a breakout room for early years, elementary, middle, PCS, and high school. And if you have any troubles getting into that breakout room, we're here to assist you. So without further ado, we'll go ahead and go into the breakout rooms. And I hope you have a good session and chat and opportunity to ask questions. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. We'll just give it a few moments for all the participants to join, and then we'll get started.
Oh, it took me a little bit of time to get myself in the breakout room today. Okay, so just a couple of minutes, and we'll just give everyone a couple of seconds to get into the breakout room, and then we will get started. So can everyone see in here? We've got a few people in. Okay, well, let's make a start. All right, so the Stamford Elementary School, one that first I better introduce my wingman. Gustav Haino is one of the deputy principals here at Stamford. So Gustav, can you introduce yourself?
Definitely. My name's Gustav Haino. I'm one of the deputy principals here in the elementary division. I originally hail from Australia, but have not lived there for very many years. I come to Singapore and Stamford with my wife and 2 kids, and I'm very proud to have my 2 children learning here in the elementary. I just love the culture here and the opportunities that they have here learning in the elementary, and just really proud as a deputy and as a father to be able to talk to you here today. Thank you. Okay,
so let's talk about our students, the students in our school. So we have great students, we have lovely kids, and they're great to work with and to be with on a daily basis. But they are also very independent learners. As they come up through Stamford, they learn to be independent. They learn to advocate for their own needs in learning. They might be more of a visual learner. They might need support with something, and they very quickly learn how to advocate for what they need. They also learn how to advocate for challenges and extension that they may feel they need. So that's important that they're independent learners, because as we know, once they get into middle school, a lot of it falls on their shoulders, and part of the elementary journey is to get them ready for when they hit that middle school mark. They're critical thinkers. They are very empathetic. As Mark said, we are a diverse school and an inclusive school. So that's something we're very proud of, because that is the real world that our children will find themselves in. So we have students that are learning English. We have students that may have may have had some academic struggles, but with that in a classroom comes empathy and understanding from others. And that is something that other schools that are selective deny the kids the opportunity of becoming empathetic people. So that is something that our students really, really develop along the way as well. They're kind, they're really kind kids, and they're very respectful of each other as well. But we're a school, so the number one job is we need to produce learners, and our kids are really keen learners. So we are an IB school, the International Baccalaureate. The elementary portion's called the Primary Years Program. So that's our framework of how. That's how we do our teaching. That's our how. But we are very much a standards-based school. We use the Aero standards, which are the equivalent of the US Common Core standards. So we are a standards-based school. So we start with the standards. What is it that a child in grade 3 in math needs to learn? And then we put the IB framework around how we're going to teach it. So that's how we operate in the classroom. Our kids are able and they're very diverse. And I always say that world peace starts at Stamford. Because we are such a diverse population, children really get to understand and respect all cultures, and because of that they become very respectful and understanding of why things are different and why things are the same. Let's hope that. Okay, so I'm very proud of our teachers. I love our kids, but I'm very proud of our teachers. We work really hard in the hiring season, and we interview a lot of people to make sure we get the right fit for our school. Our teachers are extremely dedicated, extremely passionate about the work they do. We have them from a range of different countries. In that photo alone, there's 4 teachers, 4 different nationalities represented. There's lots of language abilities within our teachers as well. They can speak multiple languages. And they're also very experienced. What we don't tend to have here at Stamford is the teacher that comes straight out of university. We look for experienced teachers in a couple of things. One, we really want them to just love kids and enjoy the role of the teacher. And 2, we really want them to be experienced in teaching a standards-based curriculum in an IB framework. And 3, we really want them to be experienced at an international school, because it's very different from a domestic school. So we look for those things. We interview a lot of people. We're looking, as well as just being really strong educators, they've got to be a good fit for our school culture and our students. So we look long and hard at all of those things as well. So the elementary experience, I'd love to be a child in our school. In fact, I love being a principal in our school. We have a real culture of care and a real sense of belonging in our school. Myself, Gustav, and the other deputy, Mark Williams, we are out every morning. We greet those students every morning, unless there's an emergency. And then, we want those kids to feel that we're really happy to see them when they arrive at school every single day. So we want them to feel that we're happy to see them. We're glad they're here. They belong to us, and we're going to look after them. At the end of the day, Gustav and I are generally down in the bus bay most afternoons, farewelling the kids as well, and saying we'll see you tomorrow. We want them to be pleased to come back to school. It's a fun place in elementary right now. I don't know if you can hear it, but outside my window there is a sports and arts week happening, and I can hear laughter and shouting and cheering from the field right now for the children that selected the sport portion. Some children selected to do art, some children selected to do music, some selected to do drama. They had a choice on what it was that they wanted to do today. So every child will be very happy where they are today because they got to choose it. I've talked about us being a PYP school, but really essential for an elementary student is learning how to learning how to go from, the early learning village and where it's a play-based curriculum to come across to an elementary school to grow and learn what it means to be a learner. How do I learn best? What does learning look like? What's my job as a learner? What's my teacher's role? How do I ask a question? How do I ask for help? How do I check for understanding? How do I monitor my learning journey? They're all essential components of what it means to be in the elementary school and learning how to learn. So part of our sense of belonging and learning what's going on is knowing what's happening for the day. So we have an advisory session in the beginning of each school day, which we're extending to 30 minutes next year. I send a morning message out to the students every single day that connects them. They all know what's happening. We do check-ins every single week. We do a social emotional check-in every Wednesday, I think it is, where the children get asked a question, they respond to it. It flags any concerns or worries to their teacher, who can then check in with them. I see you're not feeling very happy about being at school today. Has anything happened? Anything I can help you with? And if it's more serious concerns after that chat, we can connect them with the counsellor and make sure everything's okay. We firmly believe that as a school, our role is to educate kids. But we really know that if we get that foundation of care, belonging, trust, safety, well established, the learning is positioned well to do well. And our kids do well at school because they feel that they are in a safe place. They feel that they can make a mistake and learn from it. They feel that I think I can do something a little bit harder, and they'll ask for it. So that culture of care is really important for us to get it established, what it is that our kids really need to learn. So that's important for us as well. So I'll hand it over to Gustav, who's going to give you a little chat about the day and what it looks like for our kids. Gustav.
Thanks, Claire. So this is an example of an elementary schedule. This is a grade 5 class, but the core components exist right across the school. So we can see here at the beginning and the end of each day, there's a set advisory time. This stretches from grades 1 to 5. The other components that are set are the snack times and lunch times. Each grade level has a fixed languages time, which will focus on either Spanish or Mandarin. The flex time is also a blocked out time for the whole grade level each day. And then in that, all classes will have specialist lessons. So a double block of art, 2 music lessons, 2 PE lessons, and a drama lesson. And then within the week, classes will also visit the library. In the homeroom, the teacher will teach the subjects of literacy, maths, and the unit of inquiry, which appears here on the schedule as UOI. And depending on the class and the grade level, these will be scheduled throughout the day to fit around the language blocks and the specialist lessons. We've got a good amount of recess time and lunch time, and to allow the kids to stretch their legs and have a little break. But this is the sort of the core components for all homeroom classes from grades 1 to 5. We'll take a moment now and throw over to parents if they had any questions at all about what's been discussed so far. If you want to drop your questions in the chat and we can answer those.
Right, so this is your opportunity. We've talked a little bit about what it looks like at our school, what's important at our school, the way we do things at our school. But of course, you'll have your own questions. And this is the time, put it in the chat. We'll ask as many questions as we can, knowing that probably a question you have, 4 or 5 other people also will have that question. So don't hesitate. If there's anything you want to find out right now, is a really good time to just ask anything about what you've heard already before. So far, Gustav, we must have done an awesome job because there are no questions in the chat. Okay.
So one's come up here.
Yes.
So the student-teacher ratio. So all the classes have a maximum number of 24 students. Each homeroom will have 1 homeroom teacher, and they have the support of a teaching assistant. So for grades 1 and 2, they have a full-time teaching assistant in the room. And for grades 3, 4, and 5, they have a shared TA across 3 rooms.
Okay, so the second question is, I'll just answer this one. Probably miss, what is UOI? UOI are called our units of inquiry. So they're our units that may have a science focus, they may have a social studies focus, but they will also have some math and language arts in there as well. And that's the PYP sort of name for those sorts of subjects that would normally stand alone in a more traditional school. How do we expect parents to collaborate? Get involved, right? Get involved. We have an amazing PTA here at Stamford, so it's really important to connect with the PTA. There are ways for parents to be what we call a room parent, where they can assist the families in that classroom and be the focal point, I suppose, for questions. But parents get involved. They go in and read. We haven't been able to do that a bit with COVID, but we really are starting to open up. So hopefully, as next year starts, parents will be able to get involved in things, go on field trips and those sorts of things. But ask and get involved would be something. There's another question there. For kids having special talent, are you recommending additional learning outside of school? No, not really. I believe that our teachers can really accommodate and differentiate for all of our students. Sometimes parents would sometimes put their children into a club or something outside of school if they're really passionate about something. I know a lot of our gymnasts go to a really intensive gym program after school, but there's a lot that we can do for all of our kids, whether they've got a special talent or not. 8:30 to 3:05 on all days at this stage. Yes, that's our current schedule. If it was to change, it would only be very slight and it wouldn't be all days, but that is our current schedule. How do we choose which students we admit to our school? We like to admit all of our students to our school, as long as we are confident we can provide the support any child would need. So we look at, if a child is learning English, needs support with that. We look at how many kids we have and if we have enough to support. But we are not one of those schools that select. We really base it on, can we accommodate the needs of all the kids that we have? That's how we select.
There is after-school activities on site, and the students can choose which activities that they do. We have internal options and then external vendors coming in sometimes, and there's a huge range. There's literally hundreds of choices for the students to choose from. We've got everything from artistic activities where there's drawing, painting, sculpture, sewing, to more techie activities of coding and robotics, to sporty activities of table tennis and karate and soccer, gymnastics. So there's a huge range of activities, and there is literally something for everyone.
Right, there's a question here. There's two questions here about world languages. Currently, what we offer in school is Mandarin, Spanish and English, if that is required. Pre-COVID, and hopefully next year, we had a very strong mother tongue program that ran after school. And so students could come and do their mother tongue in once a week or twice a week, whenever it was offered after school. And that is our current offerings at the moment. How does the EAL program fit into the daily schedule? Well, we have two forms of EAL program. If a child is a real beginner in English, they will have a pull-out session of 80 minutes. So when everyone else goes to Spanish and Mandarin, they go to English and have intensive English support in a small group with a teacher. And then we have after languages or before languages, to make the 80 minutes, we have what's called a flex time, where we can those students stay longer with the English language teacher, and the other students are doing either extension work, repeating something that needs to be taught, catching up on something they may have missed, so that they're not missing any new instruction. So we're very careful about that. And then the other way we support EAL is we also have teachers push into the classroom and support the children in the classroom with all the other kids in the subjects that are being done at that time. All right, so Gustav, we may press on.
Yep, there's one question here, Claire, about COVID protection measures that we've implemented.
Okay.
We adhere to all the measures that are stated by the Ministry of Health and the Ministry of Education. So when the kids need to wear masks, they have to wear masks. When we were taking temperatures, so we really follow the lead of those two ministries. Things are opening up, which is fantastic. So when the students are outdoors now, they can take their masks off, but we continue to monitor the situation. And if kids are feeling unwell, we ask families, of course, to keep them at home. And if students are feeling unwell here at school, we reach out to families to touch base. Okay, elementary bilingual. So in grades 1 to 5, we have a bilingual program, which is a bilingual program focusing on English and Mandarin. The program itself mirrors the grade level. So classes, let's say on grade 3, they'll also do the same program curriculum-wise as the rest of the mainstream classes in grade 3. The difference being that it's a more immersive language experience. And that means that the maths and the UOI are about 50% taught in English and 50% in Mandarin. And this is facilitated through our one teacher model, which focuses on a one bilingual teacher being able to language and deliver both, to deliver the curriculum in both languages. And so they language throughout these lessons. So it's not a case of 40 minutes of maths in English and then 40 minutes in Mandarin. During these lessons and throughout the whole day, our bilingual teachers, they language, they drop in and out of English and Mandarin. First and foremost, we want to support that the students have a strong grasp of the concept, and then followed up with the understanding the concept in the other target language. And these bilingual teachers are supported by some amazing teaching assistants who are also bilingual. So they're fantastic role models for bilingualism and being able to language in and out of English and Mandarin. And we find that this translanguaging really helps support the development of the target language. So for native English speakers who are learning Mandarin, it really helps the development of their Mandarin. And for our native Mandarin speakers, it really helps them develop their English. Okay. As Claire mentioned, we're an inclusive school. We've got a diverse range of students with different needs, and we've got supports in place to support all our students. Firstly, we've got our English as additional language learners. And Claire's mentioned how we support those students with the push-in and pull-out programs. We've got support services to help a range of students with learning needs and physical needs. And they very much, the EAL teachers and our support teachers are in constant contact with our homeroom teachers and families. So we really collaborate on how we can best support those students. Within the homerooms, as I mentioned before, we've got a teaching assistant to help support the homeroom teacher and the students in the class. And of course, the homeroom teacher helps support all the students through curriculum and lesson design, and being able to liaise with families and those EAL teachers and support teachers.
I couldn't find my microphone there for a minute. Okay, so when you move to an international school and you're moving to a new country, it's sometimes quite stressful for kids because this is a new environment, one they don't know, one they may not speak the language of. So it's very important to us, and I've said this before, that we have a sense of belonging in our school. We want all of our kids to really feel that we are very, very pleased that they are with us at Stamford. And we do that in a number of ways. You know, we are in the classrooms a lot. We visit the classrooms on a daily basis. We are not principals that live in an office. We are out and about, and our children really really know us. I got a little note this morning from a little boy that said, "Thank you for keeping our side of the school safe and everybody happy." So, you know, our kids know us, and then they're not afraid to come up and chat to us. They any little problem, they think we can solve everything. And so we really try to. But we have our kids belong to the house. We have a house system that we operate here at Stamford, and they're all different lions, and our kids today are all wearing their house colours, and so they, you know, you see them walk past and they see someone in the same house colour and they'll go green or go red or whatever it is. They earn points for their house, so that's across the school, and they really enjoy that. We try and celebrate a lot of cultural events so that our children can take part in what's happening around Singapore and understanding the customs and traditions of our host country. And so that's important. And then, you know, our kids really, really have a good time together, and they really feel they belong to each other, and they really look out for each other. When you are international, the school becomes your family. So it's very important that they do have this sense of belonging, because it can be quite stressful. It'll be stressful for mums and dads, but it's also stressful for kids. So that's important to us. So back to questions, because we've only got about 9 minutes left. So there's a couple I can see there. Okay, what's the level in order to join the bilingual program? In grades 1 and grade 2, it's an immersion program. So there's no real level of Mandarin, but once there's up from grade 3 to 5, we do an assessment test to see if they will be able to cope in a bilingual class. Art is a big chunk of the schedule on Mondays. No, it's not always on Mondays. It just depends where it's scheduled. Art is 80 minutes once a week, and it could be on Friday, it could be on Wednesday, it could be on Monday. And there are standards for art that these students will do. They'll talk about the colour wheel, they'll talk about toning, they'll talk about primary colours and secondary colours. They do clay work. There's so many different things they do, but it's all standards based, and it's always linked to what is happening in the classroom. What is that unit of inquiry that's happening in the classroom? So everything's connected for kids across the school week, so that if I'm learning about the environment, my art will be about the environment, right? Drama will be something connected to what's going on in the classroom. They're very connected. So it's not necessarily Mondays. That was an example schedule, and we have so many different classes. They're all very different. Is there a later bus for after school activities? Yes, there is. You need to sign up for that though as well. If anyone's interested in the bilingual program, when you go back to the admission session, just ask there and they'll help you look at the bilingual program. Is one teacher assigned to each class for writing, reading? Yes. So yes, it's a very traditional elementary school in that respect. You have a homeroom teacher, and apart from when you go to specialists, you spend the bulk of your time with that homeroom teacher, and that's how our kids form really, really strong relationships with that teacher. So except for when they're going to art, music, drama, languages, and PE, they spend the rest of the time with their homeroom teacher. Gustav, did you want to add anything to that?
No, that's fine.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So Stacey, you've got a few questions around the Mandarin bilingual. I would suggest you talk to the admissions team, and they will be able to guide you more on that for grade 2. With that, any other questions? I don't think we've missed any. Gustav, I think. How is academic achievement assessed? Standardized test. Academic achievement, remember, no one goes to university from grade 1. No one goes to university from grade 5 either. So our academic achievement is always point in time. So we are always assessing where kids are at a particular time and whether they're achieving the standards that we have covered at that point in time. We do the standardized MAP test, which is measures of academic performance test, that is also a point in time test, because it depends how you are on that day, how well you test. So we don't just look at that as this is our measure for how our children are doing. We gather as much data as we can on how they're performing. We do a reading assessment with them individually a few times a year. They do writing assessments. They will do math assessments, but they are all point in time data points to give us an overall picture of how that child is doing in the semester, for when the semester 1 report comes out, and the second semester from where the semester 2 report comes out. So it's in elementary school, we're not big testers, and neither we should be. It's not developmentally appropriate for children of that age. We take lots and lots and lots and lots of small data points along the way so that we really know where our kids are. Gustav, what's that last one? Oh, no, that's the one I just did. Okay, are there any other questions? We have 5 more minutes. So this is 5 more minutes that you get an opportunity to ask Gustav and I anything you like, and we promise we'll tell you what it's like here at Stamford. No more questions?
I think there was a question about the buses after the school activities. Depending on the activity and when it finishes, there is after school activity buses, but more information will come out about that when the CCA program is shared with parents.
What age does grade 1 start? So grade 1 for the next school year, children will have to have been born between September 2015 and August 2016. That's the age range, and we typically have 24 students in a class. We do not exceed 24 students in a class. That's what we've decided as a school is our capacity for a grade. So that's how many, and that's you know, that works well for us, and especially with the extra support that goes in for EAL, student support services, and the teaching assistant as well. So there's a lot of support for 24 students. How does music work?
So the instrumental music program, when the students are pulled out of class, the program actually liaises with the homeroom teacher to ensure that they're not missing the same lesson each week, that they rotate so they're not missing, I guess, the same focus each week. But they do get pulled out of a lesson each week.
But that is negotiated with teacher and parents on, you know, what would be the best one to miss. How do we help in terms of support for little ones with special needs? We are very mindful of, like with everything, can we provide the support? So we will take children with special needs if we can provide the support that child needs. If we can't, then we advise the parent very early in the admissions piece that we just do not have capacity, because we also don't want to be putting kids in a position where we can't offer the support that we would like to. So that is that's how that's sort of it. I can't give you a blanket number or a way, but it's very much individually. We look at each child that applies and make sure that we can offer the support that they need.
We have about 9 or 10 classes per grade level.
Yep.
And again, 24 kids in each class maximum.
Yep. EAL follow the whole school day. No, they push in and out at various times during the day for support. What do you do if a child is quite advanced for his or her class? Oh, I would be a millionaire if every parent told me that was actually, you know, that's how it was. We can accommodate. Our teachers are very, very strong. And so we can accommodate for every level of advancement or needs, because, you know, that's just as important. So we want every kid to reach their potential, every single kid. So we put things in place that will really help that child grow. And that's what we're looking for, right? Every child needs to be able to grow as much as they can in the time that they're with us. EAL classes. Middle school, they operate a different ratio number. So I really can't answer that because I don't really know. I think theirs varies depending on what the classes are, but we don't have massively big classes here at Stamford. But someone from middle school will be able to help you with that, or ask in admissions, they will know.
We've got about 30 seconds left. So if there was any last questions.
Any burning questions that you cannot sleep tonight if you do not know the answer to, now's the quick time to ask, or we will put them in the, we'll put our email and you can contact us. All right, so we're going to go back to the main group. We hope you've learned a little bit about Stamford Elementary. We love it here, and we think you probably would too. All right, we'll see you in the main group. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Recording in progress.
Welcome back, everybody. We'll get started here momentarily. I see people are coming into the room back from the breakout sessions. We'll start in just a moment here. We'll get started momentarily here. Folks are still coming back into the room. Welcome back, everyone. All right, it looks like we have most everyone. Welcome back. Thanks. Hopefully those breakout sessions worked well. We do have just a few more minutes with the teaching and learning team. So if you have any specific questions that have gone unanswered, please go ahead and put them in the chat and we'll take a look and see if we can answer them. In the meantime, I'll just share one more story with you. And that is recently we had United States Ambassador to Singapore, Jonathan Kaplan, visit our school, which was a great occasion for us to welcome the ambassador and show him around. He's a relatively new ambassador to Singapore, and he was really enjoying the student experience. He met with lots of students, went to classrooms, listened to students talk about their learning. There was a little symposium where he reflected and heard directly from students about their learning. So students in that symposium, we had a range of students from all divisions sort of sharing their experience from how quickly they had progressed in learning English over a year, to a house that they had designed in their middle school design class using 3D printers, to a girl who had learned a new code because she was so interested in math and science. And as a high school student, she had decided for her project, she wanted to go and teach herself a new coding language, to students talking about their language experience in Mandarin, other students performing a scene from A Midsummer Night's Dream. And after this, he turned to me and he looked at me and he said, "Gosh, I wish I had gone to school here." And we kind of chuckled about that. I think he was duly impressed. And I think the reason he was duly impressed is because the students here go deep. They go deep with conceptual understanding. They go deep with topics of interest to them. They have choices in their learning. And all of this is based very deeply in the American standards for education. And so they're getting a very strong academic standards-based education, but there's a lot of opportunity to bring your interest and your passion into that learning pathway. And that's what makes schools pop. When you've got very high standards for student expectations, you've got warm teachers coming alongside who are experts in content knowledge, but also experts in unlocking students' potential. And then you're offering opportunities for students to share themselves in the learning process. That's when learning comes alive. And the ambassador saw that and recognized it and called it out. And it was a good celebration. So our kids were super excited with his feedback. And I've met him subsequently, and he's like, "You have a great school. I'm going to start sending people there." So it was a good encounter with Ambassador Kaplan. So with that, I'm looking at the chat to see if there are any questions. I'm not seeing any yet. I think then we will leave it there. Principals, if you could share your email addresses in the chat, or if you've already shared them, great. But so that families can reach out to you with any further questions they might have, I think that would be helpful. I did just see one question come through. Okay, so let's see. It looks like there are a couple questions here, and some of them have been answered already. So I'm just looking at the chat. So here's one question. In addition to the diversity of cultures, abilities at your school, is there also socioeconomic diversity at your school? And so to that, I would say that there's probably less socioeconomic diversity. So I come from a public education background in the United States, which is students from all walks of life, obviously, in public schools. And so there's much more socioeconomic diversity in a public school setting in any country than there is in the international school setting with tuition at a certain level. So while we have some socioeconomic diversity, it is not as broad a range as the diversity we have in learning styles, in cultural background, in all the other ways that we would measure diversity. So there is more limited when you're looking at private international schools, diversity in terms of socioeconomics than in these other areas. There is a question about the bilingual program. Claire, maybe I'll ask you to provide a quick perspective on this. It says, can you discuss the bilingual program? Can a new student join in year 2?
Yeah, we talked at length about the bilingual program. So I think this is Stacey is quite interested in joining that. So I'm suggesting that she talk to the admissions staff on what the next steps are.
Great. Thank you. And then I see a couple nuts and bolts questions that our admissions team can answer. Here's a question. Stanford is relatively new compared to some of the more established international schools. What do you think that differentiates Stanford from other international schools? We all have our opinion on this, but I'll see if there's a member of the team who might like to offer a perspective on this. Stanford is relatively new compared to some of the more established international schools. Yes, we are about 12 or 13 years old. What do you think that differentiates Stanford from other international schools? Claire?
Yes, we are relatively new. We're a teenager. We're 13 years old, and like all teenagers, we push boundaries. And I think that's what differentiates us from other international schools. We are not set in our ways of doing things. We're always looking for ways to reach our students better, to support them better. What else can we do differently? How can we improve the student experience? So tends to, and it's not just international schools in Singapore, but tends to be that schools that have been around a long time get very traditional in the way they do things, and they tend to do things the same way over and over again. As a teenager, we're not like that. So that's what one thing I think really differentiates us.
And can I add one more thing? We value the perception that our students and our families have of the school, and we do annual surveys, and we analyze those surveys in great depth, and we address the issues that are come up. So we are reactive to feedback from both students and parents, and so we are always on a improvement path. Sorry, I just thought I'd add that.
Thank
and
you.
There's a last question, Mark, that I think I could answer, and it comes from Eric Lee. How do we prepare our high schools for college? We have a significant sized college counseling team. They actually academic and college counselors. It's a 4-year program that begins in 9th grade. So in our high school breakout, we explain that in 9th grade, we work with our grade 9 students during a 40-minute advisory period where our counselors work with the students to identify their passions and their likes. That program moves on to 10th grade as well. And then we've got 3 dedicated college counselors in 11 and 12 that work with families and students one-on-one and in small groups to identify colleges and assist in the college application process.
Yeah, thanks, Aki. I would just add, we have about half of our students applied to university in the United States, a quarter to the UK, and then a wide variety across the world. Crackerjack college counseling team that really looks at student strengths, knows all of the different countries and possibilities that could match. And we've had really great success, both in terms of strong IB scores with close to 20 students scoring above a 40 last year on the IB, which is considered a very high mark of success. And then students getting into schools this year like USC, UCLA, Edinburgh, Rice, I think a couple of years ago, Exeter University College London. I mean, some excellent schools, both in the UK, the US, and around the world. So we're having a lot of success, both in terms of how our students perform in the IB and AP and BTech, which is great. We're getting kids placed into really elite arts colleges with our BTech program. So it's really exciting to see them have tremendous success after Stanford. All right, well, with that, we are going to wrap up the teaching and learning part of the program and turn you over to our admissions staff. We appreciate your interest again, and hopefully you've had the opportunity to learn more and get excited about our school. We're super proud of Stanford. We're a growing school. As Claire said, we're young and hungry, and that makes us a little bit more nimble and I think a little bit more innovative than many schools because we're able to maneuver and try new things and welcome new ideas. And so hope that you're able to come for a tour, and feel free to reach out and ask any additional questions you might have. And with that, I will turn it over to Prima, our Senior Admissions Manager, who's going to lead the next section. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Wenzel, and thank you to all our principals and teachers who've assisted with the open house. Hope you've all enjoyed your breakout sessions and you've learned a little bit more about our culture of care at Stanford. Just a little bit about myself. I have been with Stanford for 5 years now, 7 years as a Stanford parent. I have 3 wonderful children. 2 of them have graduated from Stanford and gone on to good universities in Canada. My youngest is still here at Stanford in grade 11. As a family, we have enjoyed the experience and the sense of community we share at the school. I'm joined with my wonderful colleagues, Lyndall and Christine, who are also admission managers like me, and we'll let them share a little bit more about themselves. Lyndall, over to you.
Thank you, Prima. Hello, everyone. My name is Lyndall. I'm originally from Australia and have lived in Singapore for 5 years. I have 2 young children. Mine are maybe at more of the start of their journey in comparison to Prima. So it's nice that in our admissions team, we do have colleagues that can really support your families in your decision to enrolling in school and have personal experiences of moving to Singapore that we can also share with you. I recognize some of the names on the call today, so it's lovely that you've joined us, and I look forward to answering some of your questions.
Thanks, Lyndall. Christine?
Hi, everyone. I'm Christine. I've been at Stanford almost 5 years now. So yeah, it's been an experience, and I just kind of love what I see on campus. It's nice to kind of, see everyone moving around again after COVID restrictions, and it's really starting to seem very normal. Parents were on campus. I ran into several parents this morning because we have a lot going on. So it's really good to see, and we're excited to kind of welcome everyone back in August as well.
Thanks, Christine. As a school, we are really proud of our core values of courage, compassion, integrity, and ingenuity. Let's hear what our teachers and students say about them. We'll just share a little video here.
Compassion in our school means showing respect and caring for others.
So compassion is being an inclusive school, which we really pride ourselves on.
Integrity at Stamford means doing right by our students for our students.
Integrity is important for building trust within our community at Stamford.
For a language learner, being courageous is extremely important.
And for me, being courageous has already helped me with my confidence.
Ingenuity is the ability to problem solve and take on new challenges in clever and inventive ways.
Stamford develops my ingenuity through the design program, as it helps me use my learning in other subject areas and make connections throughout the design process.
Great, hope you enjoyed the video. I see quite a few questions in the chat, so we'll just get started with them. I see a question on admissions process. I'm just going to share how the admissions process starts at Stamford. So we would encourage you to put in your application. Depending on the grade level, there are different requirements, but we would need like a valid passport copy, a couple of years past current report and previous report cards, payment of an application fee or letter of guarantee if it's company pay, and those necessary documents. And your admission manager will help you with suggesting what you need. And once we get those documents, we will start, and once it's complete, we will start the review process, which usually takes 2 to 3 weeks. We would encourage you to start applications soon because we are approaching our new academic year in August. Please do that as soon as possible. Let's see the next question. Maybe I can ask Lyndall. Eliza asks here, what does a typical day look like in the early years? I also have a kid in elementary. Can you tell me what is the most important focus of an elementary teacher? Okay, so 2 questions, 2 parts. One is a typical day in early years, and in elementary. Thanks.
Okay, so I'll start with the early years. It not necessarily typical. It depends on the age of the children. But for those that may not be aware, we have infant care, pre-nursery, nursery, pre-kindergarten, kindergarten 1 and kindergarten 2 in our early years campus, in our early years program. Generally speaking, we start school at 9 a.m. and we finish our full day at 3:30. But for all grade levels under KG2, there's a number of different programs. So 3 full days, 4 full days, 5 full days, or 5 half days. So potentially we can connect with you to obviously give you a sample timetable for the particular grade level that you're looking at. But just as a general, we will have a home classroom where we would spend the biggest part of our day, and then we would visit other classrooms for specialist teaching. So specialist teaching would include daily language, Spanish or Mandarin, would include visual arts, it would include physical education, music, which would be general music or Suzuki violin or cello as you get older. So generally we're in a homeroom and then we make our way through different specialist class throughout the week. The second question, I think, was the primary focus of an elementary teacher. I think they have many, but I think the most important thing to all of our educators, including elementary, is to make sure that your children that we create an environment that gives them a deep sense of belonging, that they feel a part of their class, that they make friends, that they settle in nicely if they're new to the community, because we do believe that children that feel safe, feel happy, that's the best springboard for all learning. So I think that that's a big focus for new students that join us, and then learning really does progress from there. So I hope I answered that well enough. Thank you, Prima.
Thanks, Lyndall. Yes, as Lyndall shared, I think focus on well-being for our students is really, very high on the priority at Stamford. We see that, in elementary school, they have a program called Someone for Everyone, where every student has to identify one person they can go to if they need help. And that's really great. And if a child doesn't have a name, they make sure that that child gets somebody they can go to from the school as well. The second one in middle school, of course, as you've heard in the breakout room, Are You OK program and the Positivity Project. We also have in high school Student Ambassador program for new students coming into Stamford to make sure they're doing well with monthly, weekly and monthly checkups to see how they're doing. So great initiatives by the school and a real focus on well-being. Thanks, Lyndall. There's a question here on, can you discuss the bilingual program requirements from Stacy? May a student begin anew from year 2? Christine, can you help answer that?
Yep, absolutely. So our bilingual program is great. We use a one-teacher model. It starts as early as pre-kindergarten and goes up to grade 5. From year 2 or grade 2, we do start a kind of placement test. So ultimately you follow the same application requirements as a general application, and then we'll send you kind of a supplemental 1-page application, just giving a background on your child's exposure to the language. And then from grade 2 to grade 5, we do kind of require a quick placement test, just because at that year we are starting to learn and write. So there is a slight, prerequisite for that. So you do kind of have to be placed in. It's a great program. So I would definitely always suggest to try. If they're not quite at that Mandarin level yet, you can still take the daily Mandarin class as part of kind of mainstream elementary school.
Thanks, Christine. Just wanted to add too, we have limited spots in bilingual. So if you're interested in bilingual, please reach out and start your application process. The next question here is, what are the latest application submission dates for August intake and January intake respectively? So we have rolling enrollment here at Stamford, although I must say that we are filling up for August. So I would suggest again, I will repeat, put in your application as soon as possible to secure your child spaces. Although it does go through a rigorous review, we have to, depending on the grade level and the reports and how we can support your child. So we do have wait lists at some grade levels for maybe English support and learning support. So just want to be really transparent there. So I would suggest to put in your application soon. Next question, Lyndall, can I ask you, how's athletic programs being conducted at high school? What is your strongest athletic program? From John.
Thank you, John, for the question. I'm particularly excited, and I think Prima can add on to this as well, having a son in high school who is in the softball team. We're really excited that competitive sport across the school has somewhat returned to pre-COVID, meaning we are competing against other schools, which is something we haven't experienced for a couple of years. So we have amazing athletics programs: softball, soccer, basketball, badminton, tennis, golf, gymnastics, swimming, potentially volleyball. Have missed a couple there. We do compete against other international schools in Singapore, and prior to COVID we did also travel throughout Southeast Asia for the CSAC conference. We're not currently traveling outside of Singapore for obvious reasons, but I am sure that those competitions will will return in due course. We encourage students to always try out for the teams or the sports that they're interested in. Rest assured, if you perhaps don't make the varsity soccer team, there's always development or participation levels in all sports, meaning you can train, you can develop your skills, you can exercise, you can socialize, you can still develop yourself even if you're not competing. It's a little bit hard for me to say what's the best sport. My personal best sport is rugby. We have a number of rugby or touch rugby teams. Almost every student I meet from around the world wants to know about soccer and basketball. Those tend to be the most popular sports that I talk to families about. But certainly if your children are passionate in an area, I think we can definitely accommodate. But if they're interested in trying a sport, maybe golf or tennis, that's not as familiar to them, there is also options for them as well. So thank you for your question.
Thanks, Lyndall. Yeah, I was just sharing with the team. We had a team meeting earlier today, and I was so excited to watch my son play yesterday. Actually, after a long time, parents are allowed on campus even to meet other parents, and other teams, other schools can come in. So we partner with Access and CSAC, competing with other international schools in Singapore and in the region. So it's nice that we can start at least inter-school competition. So that was really nice. Since it was just yesterday, I'd like to share a little picture from the softball team here. So it was they lost by 2 runs, but it was a really good game. So the next question I have here is. Okay, so I don't see that. I think Christine has answered that question. I don't see any other questions, but maybe I can just ask Christine and Lyndall what they love most about Stamford. Christine, you want to go first?
Yeah, I'd love to. And just to kind of share a story from what I saw this morning. So our school year is coming to an end next week. And so this week in our elementary school, there's a lot of field days and a lot of things going on campus. And I was chatting with one of our PE teachers because they were doing kind of a field and sports day, they call it here. And I was with another parent, and he was explaining to us that in our kind of field and sports day, they actually give the students the option to pick which one they want to focus on. So it's not only sports and field day, it's arts day, or it's drama day, or it's music day. So they actually gave the students their choice to kind of pick which one that they wanted to kind of focus on. So not every kid is having to do sports day. I know as a not very sporty child myself, I thought that was really amazing that they were able to kind of support all of those different interests and really kind of cultivate those different interests and encourage them and kind of say, it's okay that you don't like to be outside running around and being like a sports type child. So I thought that was really great. And I think that really kind of captures Stamford a little bit in kind of that inclusivity that Mark Wenzel was talking about as well. So yeah, I think that's probably kind of my favorite part of Stamford.
Thanks, Christine. Lyndall?
I think if I can build on to Christine's, I try to always answer this question differently every open house. What do I love most about Stamford? Certainly that there are opportunities for students that are interested in different things, very much so. And most recently, Prem and I think, and Christine, we've attended many of the school's theatre productions. I think by far, I love sport myself, but I absolutely get so passionate about the productions that the school produces. In high school, the most recent production was A Midsummer Night's Dream. Middle school, I think, just did a musical, Peter and the Starcatcher, and they're just fabulous. And it is so wonderful that we have students at our school that are confident enough to get up on that big stage and perform their hearts out. We do also have students that go on to university and potentially careers in the theatre or on the stage. So if your child is interested in the arts, there's definitely spaces here for them to explore. their interests. If they're interested in science or technology, there's lots of space for that, as well as athletics. So we are a school that offers lots of opportunities for different, unique students.
Thanks, Lyndall. As for me, what I love about Stamford is the 4 graduating pathways. Having 3 kids who've been through high school, or one, this last year, next year. I've just loved that they can choose their, pathway, which is, we have the IB diploma, we have the AP diploma, the BTech program, and the blended pathway. So different pathways, inclusive school, great sense of community and culture as well here at Stamford. So let me go to the next question here. When does the PCS program begin? So we start, actually the PCS program starts on July 26th. This next month, really soon. So Eric, that's your question. Lyndall, if you can answer this, what's the admission criteria? Is it different for elementary and middle school?
Not necessarily, no. There's the online application form that's required for all students, a picture of our valid passport, 2 years of school reports, and then the application fee. For some students, if you're currently receiving or require any learning support, we may need some reports provided by your learning support provider to supplement your application. For some students, we may also require to do an English assessment, but those key elements are required for both elementary and middle school. And secondary, I would say high school, have a few more requirements, which include all of your academic records from grade 9 through to 11 if you're applying for grade 12. High school also requires an expression of interest from your children as to the subjects and all the courses, pathways that they'd like to take at Stamford. So that the high school applications there's a little bit more required.
Thanks, Lyndall. I think Christine has answered. I've also put the link in there for the admissions requirements. Thanks, Christine. So it depends on, your the grade level of your child. There are different requirements. So we do look at school reports and teachers' assessments if they're on island. So we do need some information, but definitely reach out to our team and we will give you the requirements depending on which grade your child is in. I don't see any other questions. What else can we share? Oh, a Friday.
There's one.
Oh, there is.
There's one more on the school bus, which I'm happy to answer.
Okay. Sure, go ahead.
Okay, we do have door-to-door bus transport. We use a third-party provider. This is for all of our students from the age of age 2. So that's available door-to-door and after school activities as well. The after school activity bus will drop off at some more common areas on the island. So there may be a small commute from that drop off back home if they're involved in after school activities. But we do have that available. Routes and cost are going to vary by where you are because it is door-to-door. So definitely reach out to us. We can kind of get you some additional information on distance, kind of depending on what campus you're looking for.
Thanks, Christine. Yes, just to add to, we have like the list of the drop-off points. So if you're looking at condominiums in the area and you want, your kid to be dropped off close to your building or your condo or your home, we can give you that list of drop-off points as well. So please ask for it when you reach out to us. How important is the assessment to elementary level to get accepted into Stamford? I'll answer this. For assessment in elementary, we really only do an assessment if you're coming from a non-English speaking country. We'll have to do an English test, which is a WIDA test, which tests your child's speaking, listening, reading, writing skills. So that's the only assessment we do. Usually we would check the reports and, the age, make sure your child is age appropriate for the correct grade level. And so test is only required for English to test the English level. or to determine the English level. There's another question here. Generally, what time do after-school activities finish each day? Lyndall, do you want to answer that?
Absolutely. Well, elementary, we'll start with Woodley campus. Elementary school times are 8:30 to 3:05. So almost directly after 3:05 at around 3:10, co-curricular activities will commence if you've registered. We have 2 slots, so 40 minutes or 80 minutes after 3:10. For secondary students, school does finish at 3:45, so directly after 3:45, their 2 co-curricular timeframes would start 40 and 80 minutes. So a little bit different there. Secondary school does go a little bit longer. And for our younger children at the Early Learning Village, school finishes at 3:30, and our co-curricular activities do start just after that, 3:40. I will say a little bit of a caveat on the Early Learning Village. Currently, this last academic year, the current year we're in, we're not offering CCAs, just primarily due to COVID. I hope that will change for the new academic year, and as soon as we're advised of those changes, we'll obviously let families know.
Thank you, Lyndall. Yumi's question here is, what is the racial distribution in our school? So let me answer that. It's not racial distribution. We really are very international. We have families from different countries. We have about 77 different nationalities at our school in our student population. The majority are Americans, 22%, 20% Europeans, and the rest really a mix from the whole world. So very multicultural. Our teachers, we have also 33 different nationalities. So again, coming from all over the world. So if that answers your question. Christine, can you answer this one? How about special needs kids assessment?
Yes. So as far as assessments, we would ask for certain things in the application process, like a most recent psych evaluation, depending on the school that you are currently at. If you have a individualized learning program for your child, or however your school works, it is a very individualized program. So we know that every student is going to have like different needs, and so that's why we kind of mold that program around a very individualized approach. So it will very depend on kind of what your child is currently getting. So we would ask for any reports on any therapy, speech, occupational. We do have a team of in-house specialists, speech and occupational therapists, as well as special education teachers as well. All of our students that require any kind of additional learning support are in the mainstream class. So they do have to be able to access the mainstream curriculum. And then we work on what we call push-in and pull-out programs with them as they need on an individual basis. So it really is, hard to say what the typical requirements are. I would say definitely get in touch with us so we can talk to you a little bit further about kind of your specific child's needs. We do have services available. We are quite limited in that capacity as well because they do work very individually with our team of specialists. So just reach out and we can kind of give you more information there as well.
Thanks, Christine. I have a question here from Athena. Will I receive an email before school starts about in which class, teacher, contact information? Yes, we will be sending out information. So if you're a confirmed family and who've already enrolled, already signed up and received your offer letter, we will be sending out a welcome pack. It's just in the process of being updated, so we'll be sending that out very shortly. We're also planning a big orientation on campus on the 8th of August. So information is coming soon. So you'll have information about uniforms. Class allocations will be closer to the start date, so you will get that, but it'll be later this next month. closer to August. And yes, your admission managers who you've been talking to will help you with all those all that information. I see another few questions here. Do you have assessments for gifted children or advanced learners? Lyndall, do you want to take that?
Sure. Broadly speaking, not upon entry or not upon application. Being an IB school, IB is very much about an inclusive classroom environment, meaning all students within a class will be from a variety of, I guess, nationality backgrounds, equal boy-girl ratio, and also students of different strengths and perhaps areas of development in each class. IB is actually really wonderfully suitable for students that have a strong keen interest in a area. It does enable gifted or advanced students to delve into content deeper potentially than their peers. We do have a math extension program in both elementary and secondary school, and those extended math students do spend a bit of time outside of their home classroom on extended content. But no, we don't have a gifted program or assessments for gifted children, but the IB does really support student-centered learning, and essentially what that means is that students that are capable of delving deeper into a subject area, they're able to do that within the IB framework.
Thanks, Lyndall. As it is almost time, I would like to take this opportunity to thank you all for joining us today. I hope we have managed to answer most of your questions, but we do understand each family has a unique situation. So I urge you to reach out to the admissions team after the session to schedule a virtual tour with one of our amazing admission managers. Thanks again and have a good weekend ahead. Bye-bye.